seen.
Yeah, this one's really big, dude. Oh, let me get Cody.
This is
Let's.
definitely one of the biggest free agents period in recent memory of all time.
Oh, we are. We live now. We live. All right, folks. Hey, welcome to this edition of the TD Report, folks. We're on Wednesday, because the tournament starts tomorrow. Uh, so we want to try to get this in because we know you guys are going to be watching the tournament. And me, I'm a junkie, so I'm going to be gambling. But first, I got to go to John Hopkins because my bracket is down there on life support. So I got to go visit it tomorrow to make sure that it doesn't take the horse dewormer. You know what I mean?
I only
Because
got
my bracket gone, man. I think COVID got mine.
Yeah, my bracket was messed up when Iowa lost. So just imagine how I feel, trying to pick all these Midwest teams, man, and it didn't go well for me. It didn't go well for me at all.
You picked the wrong Midwest team. You should have picked the blue. Go
First of
blue.
all, I'm from Ohio, so I am never. Look, only reason I would even mention
Go
Michigan is because
blue.
my daughter is in getting her master's from there right now. So that's the only way I mention that state.
Hey, baby, go blue. Hey, listen, I want to bring you guys up to something. I was going through with Dev, and there to this date has never been a player to play in the Final Four and then come out and coach his alma mater to the Final Four.
Juwan Howard. Okay.
Jawan Howard has a chance, and Hubert Davis has a chance.
Wow.
Both
Okay.
played in the Final Four. Now, technically, if Jawan Howard does it by NCAA, it didn't happen, which we know is BS. If he gets his team to the Final Four, he gets on that list to me because you need to put the banners back up at Michigan because now you're paying players. So let's
Yeah.
retroactively give people their Heisman Trophy back, and let's give these people their banners back.
I mean, let's
Stop with
let's
the
be honest,
BS.
man. Let's be honest, man. People, even before they got these deals now, we know that it was some underhanded stuff. I don't like to admit it, but we all know it. It's just now that it's coming to the forefront, they couldn't control it. So they had to pay these. Either they had to pay them or these guys were not going to play collegiate sports. So,
You
I mean,
you hit it.
Reggie Bush not having his Heisman and then saying Chris Webber did whatever he did. And a host of other players that have been, affiliated with some of that stuff. And you got to think all the places that Calipari went at UMass and then he went to Memphis. And, you know, we got to give shouts out to Calipari. I think he's made more millionaires than Jay-Z. I mean, like,
I know. Hey, what's the SEC slogan? If you ain't cheating.
you ain't trying. But the crazy thing, and I mean, while we waiting on people to come on there and jump aboard, is the SEC, man. I love the fact that they're top heavy, but like I said, man, I think a lot of those teams at the bottom get to live off of Alabama and now Georgia and like your LSU's. It's a lot of bad teams in the SEC. You know what I'm saying? That's why they like the affiliation because you look at the bottom, Ole Miss is not all they off and on, Mississippi State is off
Mississippi
and on,
State,
Vanderbilt, Kentucky.
Vanderbilt,
Kentucky and,
Kentucky,
and, and football anyway. South Carolina's up and
South
down.
Carolina.
You
Yeah,
got Missouri. You can't count out Missouri. They're part of the SEC now. So it's
I
just like
think that's why they added Texas and Oklahoma.
and see that's major. Do you now before they get on? Do you think that Texas and Oklahoma are going to compete, or they just going to go to the middle of the pack in the SEC?
Well, you have to look at it this way: when you are on a thing, you always going to compete. You're always going to compete. I mean, you got to think about it. When you're in a state like those, you always going to compete. I think, as recruiting go, they're going to be fine. That's just me. I mean, it eventually you're losing recruits because they want to go to SEC.
Right.
Okay, so now what happens to those recruits now when you say, okay, we plan the SEC? So you're going to get a percentage of those recruits that you were losing anyway to maybe stay and go with you. Texas and Oklahoma has too much money to be sorry in football.
But Texas has been really a shell of themselves maybe since Mac Brown and Vince Young. You know, they went through a few coaches. They had Charlie Strong down there, you know, and they just really haven't really done the things that we thought Texas, with, like I said, with the amount of money and the amount of alumni and the amount of talent that comes out of Texas, they haven't really done anything since Vince Young days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
And
You're
Oklahoma,
right. I mean,
and
go
I'm gonna
ahead.
say in Oklahoma, Lincoln Riley, you know, went to USC, which I feel like is going to be a great move for him in USC, because college football is not great when you don't have USC good and Oklahoma, Texas, Alabama, Ohio State, Notre Dame,
No
Michigan.
damn.
You know, you want to see those. You want to see that Miami. I can't wait till the U to get back. Like, when is the U gonna get back? Vi Tech, man. Shout out to your school, man. That's when football is fun, man. And I'm not taking anything away from these mid-major schools or these school lower D1 schools like a Cincinnati, who will be going to the Big 12 to replace. But I kind of want to see some of these bloods jump back up in the rankings, man, and be good consistently.
Well, they're going to be good now because you get to give them the bag. So that bag is going to make a difference on a lot of people. Let's talk about right now, Jody. Bring us up to date on what's happening in the NFL right now. Bring us up to date.
Right now, if you live under a rock and you haven't heard, Tyreek Hill went to Miami. And he got maybe a trade like a quarterback, because they gave up a first, a second, some other late round picks. That's some stuff you would hear when you talking about one of the premier quarterbacks in this league. And you got to think about it, with Matt Ryan going to Atlanta and only going for a third round pick, but then you trade Tyreek Hill and you get that type of compensation in return. I think both teams won in that trade, Tony. I think that Miami got the receiver. They going all in, pushing their chips in the middle of the table for Tua. And I think Kansas City always have drafted well. You got to think they got Tyreek Hill in the 5th round. They got Nicole Hartman. They just picked up Juju Smith-Schuster. They went and picked him up for some insurance. People forget they still have Josh Gordon. Don't know how long it's going to last, but if Josh Gordon is your 3rd or 4th receiver, that's okay. You still got Kelsey, but I think both teams really won in that deal, because I can see Kansas City having the 29th and 30th pick. I think they will get their receiver with that pick. But that's one of the moves. You got Robert Woods going to Tennessee. I think that was a great move because he was an odd man out
Mm-hmm.
in LA with the Rams. I think he comes and he's going to be an upgrade. I hate to say it, but an upgrade from Julio Jones, because Julio Jones was consistently banged up, didn't really have any continuity with Tennessee. I think Robert Woods is a good guy to have in there when you do a lot of play action with Derrick Henry. I think that helps out Tannehill a tremendous amount more than Julio Jones, because Julio Jones is kind of your down the field guy. He's a shell of
Mm-hmm.
himself at the number one. Malcolm Butler went back to the New England Patriots for a 2-year deal. Would you say that was 4 years too late?
4 years too late, man. It was
So
4 years too late.
Armstead, he signed with the Miami Dolphins. That was a big time acquisition last night. That happened. So
Mm-hmm.
Miami is putting money out there. They're trying to get everything that's necessary for Tua to be successful. They got Chase Edmonds from Arizona earlier this offseason. Hey, they got Waddle. He had 100 catches in his rookie campaign. You still got Devontae Parker. They re-signed Useki, the tight end. Hey, what do you think about this Miami Dolphin team? And they're not laying down anymore.
Well, I would be a little bit happy or happier with Miami had they kept a base with their coach, because now we would have some kind of consistency. See, the problem with Miami is everybody's going to be new coach,
Yeah.
new everything. If you had the coach and now you were giving them these resources from what they had last year, they were
Right,
right there.
right.
So they would have been right there, like Cincinnati, to take the next step. When you bring a new coaching staff in, the defensive coordinator, offensive, you spend half the season learning what the hell's going on.
Right. But it is good that we're doing 17 games. I think that one game helps a lot with continuity and getting to learn people. That one game and taking away that preseason game, I think that really helped out. I didn't like it at first, but now it's making a lot more sense, especially with what you're saying with the with Miami having all new coaching staff, all new defensive coordinator. I believe they got a new offensive coordinator as well.
You got to
And
do everybody.
that's a lot on a quarterback to have several different offensive coordinators in what his 3rd year. He will have
Third year.
And they got two different offensive coordinators. That's extremely difficult for a quarterback in their learning curve. But we know that. Cincinnati picked up Collins from the Dallas Cowboys. I think that's a very, very significant upgrade for the Cincinnati Bengals. When they, that they had problems protecting Joe Burrow, so now they got one of the premier right guards in the game. Right tackles in the game. I think that's a heck of a pick. But we couldn't go any further without talking about the Cowboys. Couldn't go any further. What do you think the state of the Cowboys, with them really not being this active in this free agency period, and they relatively coming back with the same team? I thought they was flirting with Bobby Wagner. I'm not sure what's going on with them.
I think the Cowboys are going to be a better team simply because I think the second year in the defense. See, to me, it's not about the offense with the Cowboys. Right. It's going to be about that defense. And I think those players being comfortable in that defense for a second year, because the improvements they made from 20 to 21 are incredible. Now, if they can consistently make those improvements, listen, we all talk trash, and then we double talk. Oh, I want the overtime rules changed because you should be able to get the ball. Blah, blah, blah. You know what? If you say defense wins championship, then stop them from scoring a touchdown.
Listen, the overtime rule, you had 60 minutes to get it right. I don't buy that. If you want to get it right during the regular. You got 60 minutes. If you can't get it right in 60 minutes, you really don't deserve to win anyway.
Stop them. Now, I'm not going to be talking about these damn Cowboys on here because they haven't made no good moves or no moves that warrants them for us to even speak on them. They are who they are. What you need to worry about is the rest of the division.
Right.
Did the division get any better? And I don't think the division got that much better.
And they didn't. If you look at the course of the Philadelphia Eagles, they did get Hassan Reddick. They got him. He's a pass rusher, came from Carolina. He had 12 sacks. That's going to be a definite upgrade. But then they let Fletcher Cox go. So, I mean.
He signed back.
He signed back. Okay, I digress on that. He signed back with them. The Washington Commanders, they get Carson Wentz. That is we talked about this several times. That is a slightly upgrade from Heineke. We'll see how that pans out. But if you look outside of that acquisition, the Commanders really haven't made any other acquisitions. So they're pretty much the same. You got to understand, since Ron Rivera been there, he has not had a over 500 season yet. Even though he won a division under 500, so we really waiting for him to really get over 500 and compete with the Dallas Cowboys. And then the Giants. Oh wow, they can't give away Saquon Barkley. Do you know that they asked Buffalo? They're asking for a 4th round pick, and Buffalo said no. So what is going on with Saquon Barkley? But you can't even get this guy away. We talk about when he got drafted, the 4th pick of the draft. He was supposed to be. I believe it was the 3rd or 4th pick of the draft. I believe he was supposed to be that generational running back, and it really hasn't panned out. So what is it that the Giants are going to have to do with Saquon Barkley at this point?
Well, right now, if I'm looking at the draft order, the Giants have the 5th pick and the 7th pick.
Right, that's correct.
Okay. What do you do with the 5th and the 7th? Remember, we talking about the Giants.
There you go.
I think the Giants is going after quarterback.
Yeah.
I think the Giants is going to go after quarterback because right now in your division, so let's put that division together since we're in the NFC East. Dak, playoffs.
Yep.
The Eagles quarterback, Hurts. Playoffs.
Hurts. He's been in the playoffs.
Carson Wentz should have been in the playoffs. They had a winning record
right
the last 2 weeks. So you have 3 quarterbacks who can be in the playoffs or went to the playoffs last year. And who do you have?
So, Tony, you said to go ahead and end the Daniel Jones experiment?
Get rid of it, dude. No, here's what you do. You keep Daniel Jones on the damn roster. You go get that damn Willis or Pickett. And you let Tyrod Taylor play this year as a placeholder so you can have a quarterback to compete in 23. Because if you don't get a quarterback now, there ain't going to be nothing later for you.
Do you think that it's a market out there for Daniel Jones in the trade, Dave? Do you believe that?
Yes, there's a market for everybody if you're healthy, and Baker Mayfield proves that. They're not. I think the reason we don't see Baker Mayfield anywhere right now is no one's positive he's healthy, and that shoulder has caused his market to drop.
Yeah.
If you had told me that 2 years ago, I would have said no way. I thought he was one of the hot young quarterbacks in the league, and I thought he had a chance to be a very good playoff quarterback. This is a guy that has started a playoff game and basically took the Kansas City Chiefs to the brink of elimination. Okay, so, and me and Tony believe, and I think I see Tony nodding. Me and Tony believe Brown should have won that game.
Absolutely. I mean,
and it wasn't because of him. It wasn't because of Baker. They still should have won that game. I think they got jobbed on a couple of officials' calls in that game that swung the momentum of the game to where, they were literally fighting the refs, right?
Yeah.
And the Kansas City Chiefs, to their credit, they're the league darling. They sell a lot of tickets. They're a hot team and, glamour team. But the Browns went in there and they put the paws on him, as Tony would say. We're going to patent that for Tony. They put the paws on him. Well, you know what?
They put the paws on him.
To get back to your Daniel Jones question, yes, there is a market for him. Daniel Jones could find himself somewhere in a similar situation where Marcus Mariota is now.
Okay.
Where he will end up somewhere else when a veteran quarterback moves on and they need a gap guy. That's where he's at. Now, if he gets the full reclamation project, like Ryan Tannehill got when he moved over to the Titans, where they gave him a solid 3 to 4 year window. Hey, we're going to give you a running game. We're going to give you a defense. We're going to see how far we can go with you, right? Daniel Jones could find himself in that type of situation on a contending team. Ryan Tannehill was left for dead in Miami, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and you guys know this, when he left Miami, let's see, who was it? Brent Grimes. Brent Grimes was in Miami at the time, and Brent Grimes' wife was giving Ryan Tannehill the blues on a radio show and on social media. She was lighting up Ryan Tannehill, and he had to listen to that from somebody he can't speak back to, and got that chance to go to Tennessee. Had a decent run. I mean, I think he's in that Jimmy Garoppolo type of, place amongst NFL, like a cut below Jimmy G. But the Jimmy G market has softened. He was supposed to have been the first guy to go, and he's still there.
But think about it, he waited to the offseason to have his surgery. I think that really messed it up. I think once the season was over and they lost that playoff game, I think he should immediately have surgery like Baker Mayfield did. So he's not going to be available to throw passes till June, and that's why his market has went down.
Well, he did a number on the 49ers on that one, and that was probably in his best interest to do that. Otherwise, I thought he would be the first domino to fall, and I mean, everyone thought that. Hey, Dev, what's going on?
Hey,
man?
What's going on, Dev? How you feeling?
Hey, brothers, how y'all doing, man?
Good. What's good?
Look, we're talking quarterbacks. Daniel Jones in New York with the Giants. Tony seems to think that he'll be the gap quarterback until you're talking about them getting Willis, right?
Willis or Pickett.
I call him Wilson Pickett.
That sounds like a law firm.
No, it sounds like a soul group.
Actually, it's a singer, Wilson Pickett.
Yeah, Wilson Pickett. Well, what do you think, Dev? Do you think he's a gap guy?
16-1. Well, I'm sorry. I had to get my son in. I'm sorry, fellas.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right.
Say it one more time. I'm sorry. Practice. Yeah, he had a game.
What do you think about Daniel Jones as far as his prospects, short term and long term in New York? We seem to think that he's going to be the starter, presumably, and then he's going to be battling with a rookie in camp as they season up a rookie. So looking at a rookie, and then the market for Saquon Barkley, they can barely give the guy away to leverage that into picks. What do you think about the Giants situation?
Didn't they sign Tyrod Taylor?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
they did.
So I honestly don't think they're going to take a quarterback. I think they got too many other needs right now. And I think they're going to see if Dable can actually fix him like he did Josh Allen.
Wow.
You know, Dable has a track record of fixing quarterbacks. You know, Jalen Hurts was Alabama's starting quarterback Dable's only year at Alabama. And if you look, that year Hurts did get better. He still was a little erratic at times, but before Dable, Hurts couldn't complete a 5-yard out most of the time without overthrowing or underthrowing. So Dable at the time at Alabama didn't want him starting. He wanted Tua to start as a true freshman because he knew his whole offense would be able to be used. Like you had Judy, Ruggs, Smith, Najee Harris, all these guys. Damian Harris was still there. You had all these weapons.
Flip your phone sideways.
You know, and I think in a lot of ways, to an extent, I think that right there, then going and doing what he did with, I mean, don't forget, before he got to Josh Allen, that dude was erratic. He was overthrowing people. He was 50% completion percentage. Now that dude's an MVP candidate, and if it's not for the greatness of Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, that dude probably gets to the Super Bowl this year. I don't see why he didn't. I literally think the last 2 playoff losses have been to the Chiefs, and if it wasn't for the Chiefs, they probably get to the Super Bowl both times. And
agreed.
You know, I look at that.
The Bengals might have had something to say about that, but go ahead.
That game would have been in Buffalo, and that weather, I don't got the Bengals winning that. It's totally different in weather in KC than playing in Buffalo in January. Totally different. So
well, Cincinnati plays outdoors too. So
yeah, it's pretty cold. It's pretty cold down here.
Buffalo cold. That Buffalo cold is never cold though, man. Y'all know that.
No, all we did was have Styles make fights.
Because me and Tony was talking about that, and Tony said straight up, the Bengals should thank God that the Bills didn't beat the Chiefs because they wouldn't have beat the Bills the next week. They wouldn't have.
Oh, it's terrible. That's a bad matchup for them. That's not the matchup.
It's a bad matchup because as much as Mahomes will run, he wants to pass. Josh Allen just gonna pull it down and go get yards. He don't care.
Yeah, right.
But you know, but I think when you look at what Dable can do with quarterbacks, he's got a good track record. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky, after 1 year of sitting on the bench behind him, got glowing reviews, and the Steelers brought him in. So I think they're going to try their best to, even though Gettleman did retire, the guy that drafted Daniel Jones, I think the GM now is from Buffalo, and him and Dable will probably try to work with him and see what he's got this year. And if he's god-awful, they'll move on. But if he's okay, I don't think they give up on him because Daniel Jones does have talent. He can throw the football. He's athletic. The problem with Daniel Jones is I don't understand a lot of what he's not under. When he came out of college, there was a thing on him where he understood defenses and the game was slow for him. It doesn't look like the game is slow for him at this level. And I thought that was the biggest difference between him from now and college. I thought in college, everything was real slow for him playing in that offense for
Ratliff.
Yeah, you know, and all them guys. And I don't know, man. I just think the Giants are going to wait on a quarterback. I don't see them making a move and taking one. None of these guys are like through the roof, got to have them. You know what I'm saying? You can find these guys next year too, man. You know, so,
right.
You know, next year you'll have Stroud, you'll have Bryce Young, you'll have Wiga Lele if he leaves or whatever. I don't know what's going to happen with him. You'll have a lot of really good quarterbacks, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll see. But I don't think the Giants move on yet. I don't think they move on yet.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the activity that's going on down in Miami with the trade. We've got the trade between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Miami Dolphins, sending 7-time Pro Bowler Tyreek Hill to Miami for, okay, listen up, a 1 first-rounder, a 2nd rounder, 2 fourths, and a 6th. What did you guys think of that move? Because I'll say up front, I like the move. I like the move for Kansas City. I like the move for Kansas City better than I like it for Miami.
But you know what, Dave? We just talked about this a little bit earlier, and I think both teams won in that situation because Miami has not had a lot of success. In the past 20 years, they have 3 winning seasons. And you can't keep waiting for Dan Marino to walk through the door. You can't wait for Don Shula to come back. You can't wait for the Clayton brother. So you're going to have to make a move now. The NFL is a right now league. So I think getting Tyreek Hill, a proven veteran at wide receiver, a Super Bowl winner, a leader, regardless if people want to admit it or not, he's a leader. He was a leader in that wide receiver room. And you bring him into a young Miami team. He can make it or break Tua at this point. So I think the Miami Dolphins, actually, I give both teams a good grade. And I think, of course, Kansas City won because they got Tyreek Hill in the 5th round. You know what I'm saying? They get him in the 5th round. So you go and you basically get a deal as if you were trading a premier quarterback, because you got Matt Ryan went to the Colts for a 3rd rounder. We talking about the MVP, you know, so it's crazy.
The prices seem inflated on the talent right now, but you've heard the term, well, you've heard GMs and some coaches say we don't want to mortgage the future. Well, over the past few years, Tampa Bay being one of them, Los Angeles being another, mortgaging the future seems to be the trend, and this is a copycat league. And Jody, I like the term that you said, that this is NFL is a right now league. It evokes, Hubie Brown saying the NBA is a make or miss league, as far as what it is, and I like that. I like that terminology. As we peck through the NFL, off season, as it kind of comes to a head, we're seeing some mini deals here and there. The WFT made a mini deal today to keep a guy in house, not a blockbuster deal. But you're going to start seeing teams kind of nibble around the edges. But I did see what a great job the Miami Dolphins did at transforming their roster very quietly until they made the big splash today. They brought in Connor Williams, was from Dallas, to help shore up the offensive line.
The whole master. I ain't messing with him. That clown.
We've seen quite a few teams improve themselves in a couple of different areas, not just aside from the quarterbacks. I think this bodes well for an amazing season next year, with endless possibilities as far as what we could see in terms of playoff scenarios. So
you know what, Dave, real quick, a very underrated move the Buffalo Bills made yesterday. They brought in Jameson Crowder, somebody from the Washington Commanders, former slot receiver. He was playing for the Jets. They brought him in to replace Cole Beasley, to be a little bit, maybe an upgrade from Cole Beasley. So let's watch out for that move right there, in the slot.
The Bills are the champions of the offseason, dude. The Bills have won the offseason.
I think Cleveland has won the offseason. You don't
think the Broncos did, Tony?
I think the Browns did.
No, man. The Bills, listen, they done shored up their wide receiver. They done shored up their pass rush. I mean, every time I look up, somebody's going on the Bills team. I mean, what the hell's going on?
The reason why I'm going to say the Browns and I'm not being a homer is because I'm 43 years old. I've been a Browns fan for 37 years. And this is the first time that I've ever felt really we can make mistakes and still have an opportunity to be a quality team. Like with Baker Mayfield, it's like, okay, we play a perfect game, don't turn the ball over. But I feel like with Deshaun Watson and Amari Cooper, getting a relationship and having that running game and the defense that we have, this is the first time I ever, even with Bernie Kosar, this is the only time I ever felt as a Cleveland fan that we significantly have a chance to win the Super Bowl.
If you come out of the AFC with Cleveland, you will have earned that because it is tough as nails over there, dude. When I look down, y'all saw what I tagged y'all to today. I look down and because of the extra game, I think the entire AFC West goes to the playoffs.
Would that be the first time this ever happened? First time?
Yeah, they can. Yeah, you can. It's an extra game, and you only play each other 6 times. So that leaves 11 games where you don't have to play them.
If they feast on everybody else outside of that division, you could very well see those 4 teams make it and then 1 team from everywhere else.
Yeah, 1 team from every division.
They're going to cannibalize each other, though. I can understand where I see Devin shaking his head. They're going to cannibalize
only
each other.
6 games.
No, I'm not saying that all of them can't make it. I just don't think. Go ahead.
Let's play hypothetical. 3-3. Everybody goes 3-3 in the division.
Right.
Okay. So that leaves 11 games. In those 11 games, if any of them go 7, 8-3, or 7-4, they're in the playoffs.
But it's a team over in the AFC North. It's called the Bengals, the Browns, and the Ravens.
That's the squeeze. That's the squeeze. There's going to be a team in one of those divisions that goes 11-6, and won't make the playoffs. That's what's going to happen.
You know what's funny though? That trade today, man. I gotta see how the Chiefs look. That dude is dynamic. He makes them impossible to stop. He makes everything easy for Kelsey. Them other average receivers, they let Pringle go, they let Robinson go. Guys that have been in their system for years are gone. And
Diesel in the house.
Then you trade away the kingpin of the whole offense. That offense goes because Tyreek Hill requires 2 to 3 eyes on him, sets of eyes on him every single damn play. So now
he takes the head off of every route. And even and Devin, what I think is interesting too, even when you let that joker catch the ball underneath on a shallow cross, he's dangerous.
We saw what he did against Buffalo on that 5-yard slant. He went 65 down the side. There is nobody. I posted on Facebook. There's nobody in the league that does what he does better. And it's not even close. He does his game break ability is not even no one near him in that area. No one.
I don't think Gale Sayers. I mean, it's amazing what he's able to do. But the thing is, there was a game that they played. This is when Alex Smith was quarterback. They were playing against Dallas, and Dallas dropped 8. They dropped 8 at the end of the half.
Yep, Yep.
You're supposed to rally to the football, and
couldn't catch him.
You know what it is? You understand offensive concepts. You're an offensive guy as a coach, but the idea that he can outrun coverage, he outruns angles. You see what I'm saying? There is no angle that you can really get on him because he can outrun virtually everyone. And the fact is that the play that had play against Dallas, when literally he ran through like 6 guys, it reminds me of the drill I used to see in college. George Welsh, when he was at UVA, used to run a drill where we would have 2 defensive players inside of a very tight box. I think the box was 10 feet wide and 10 yards wide, 20 yards deep. You had a guy at 5 yards, and you had the other guy on the other end at 10, and the offensive players on the far end. And he only had one player that could get from one end to the other without being touched, and you can't go outside the lines. One guy. You got to have – I would guarantee you Tyreek Hill could do that. Just tell him what the drill is. NFL players can't touch him. It's amazing. So
it's go ahead, Joe.
No, I agree with you how dynamic Tyreek Hill is, but I was watching RG3 today when the trade was being made, and he made a good comment. He said wide receivers fall off the cliff very quick in the NFL. If you every 2 to 3 years, you got a new best wide receiver, you got a new best cornerback. Those are 2 positions, and running back. Those are 3 positions that every 3 years you got somebody that's going to be new. I think Kansas City is smart, and they knew something because they didn't want to pay him long term. And once again, they got Hartman. They still got Hartman there. He's a speed burner too. And they got the 29th and 30th pick in the draft. Now, it's some guys that they can trade up and go get, maybe a Garrett Wilson.
That Alabama dude.
Jameson Williams. So I think that, like I said earlier, I think both teams won this trade because you got to get it now. And I think Kansas City got a lot of, they draft really well. Andy Reid, if you look back when he played for Philly, when he was coaching at Philly, he drafted extremely well. And now I think he's doing it the same thing in Kansas City. He got a lot of late round draft picks on that Kansas City team.
This is the old Patriots model. We're going to get rid of a guy 2 years early rather than 2 years late.
And it's a smart move. It's not a bad move. I
like it.
I got to see how Mahomes handles this. Mahomes has had it. As great as he is, he hasn't had much adversity in his 4 years of starting because he's always had this dynamic duo of Kelsey and Reek. And that now has been cut in half. And I just look at it like the stuff Tyreek Hill does, defenses come into the game knowing that they're going to have to take that away. That allows average receivers that they have around him to eat. Byron Pringle had career games this year because they were so worried about Reek.
Right. That's true.
And then, like I said, and the bigger thing for me is, like you said, they will get some guys in the draft and they will make some moves, I guess, whatever, guys get cut on the wire. But Pringle and Robinson are 2 guys that's been in Kansas City for a while. They know that system like the back of their hands, and both of them are gone.
Yeah.
So you lose Reek, and then you lose 2 guys that you trust because you figured Reek was good and you brought in Juju. You got Hardman. Now you got to kind of, like you said, you're going to have to go get – Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid.
You still got Josh Gordon.
I know.
You still got Josh Gordon.
Yeah,
he's a wild card. He's a wild card.
But you can't count on none of that. Josh
You can't
Gordon's
depend on him now.
I mean, he's done, man. He's fat now. He's done, man. He's fat now.
So listen,
he doesn't care about football anymore. That dude,
guys.
Hey,
Devin, you wild, man.
Hey, Jody,
listen, we got to get to these Thursday. We got to get to these Thursday college games, guys. Let's get to these Thursday college games, man. On the team report. So let's talk Thursday at the Sweet 16. So Thursday, we've got some interesting games here. Let's go to here. We've got first game, 7:09. We'll be playing at the Chase Center in San Francisco. Arkansas, Gonzaga. That's a home game basically for Gonzaga. I had Arkansas winning that game, and I picked that at the very beginning of the bracket. I like this game. It's going to be really interesting. I've liked what Gonzaga has been able to do. They've shown a lot of resiliency. I thought they took Memphis's best shot. Memphis went after him. All right. And shout out to Penny Hardaway, who a lot of people think can't coach. He coached a pretty good game. He didn't.
And he can recruit.
But you know what, Devin, you talked about it in your article on the Shadow League about black coaches are generally thought to be recruiters and recruiters first. But Penny Hardaway has always been able to play the game. When he played, he was always a couple of steps ahead. You don't just do that on athletic ability. You do that from watching, learning, being a student of the game. And if he's imparting that and being able to translate that to the basketball court for college kids, that helps with recruiting. Hey, my coach can understand how to set up my skills to look good for a pro scout. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. And Anthony Hardaway understands that. And if that becomes the narrative around him that surrounds him, he'll be known as more than just a recruiter. I'm not saying, Jody, I'm not saying you said that, but he is known as a good recruiter because he pulls out of that AAU scene in and around Memphis. Yeah. And, I'd like to see Gonzaga and Arkansas play this game. That's the game I'm going to be watching. That's the early game. The game after that tips at 7:29 is going to be Michigan against Villanova. They'll be playing out of the South region, so that's in San Antonio. So that's a true neutral site game. What do you guys see in that first game, Arkansas, Gonzaga?
Ooh, I got Arkansas. I got Arkansas because, I like you said, I think Memphis exposed a lot of the stuff that Gonzaga can't do. And like I said, they're not as tough. Tim's is pretty tough. Don't get me wrong. He's tough.
Timmy, he's great.
He's tough. But I just think that Arkansas, he's just gonna have a little bit too much, man. They're gonna bring that dog fight to him, and I don't think it's gonna be enough. And like I always say, Gonzaga always find a way to lose in the tournament. So going back to Adam Morrison Day. So
what about you, Tony?
They're gonna blow Arkansas out of this game.
Wow.
They played a bad weekend. Gonzaga's gonna blow them boys out. They've already got their scare. Remember, I told you champions always get their scare early. They got theirs. They're going to beat them like a dog. Scotty Thurman ain't walking through that door. Corliss Williamson ain't on that team.
POV Sports, what do you think?
I got a 90-78 game. Gonzaga. It's not going to be a whole lot of defense. It's going to be run, track meet, whoever can outscore the other. And I think in a one game, I saw Nolan Richardson today. He was saying how he's been following Arkansas, all year. Greatest, one of the greatest black coaches ever. He mentioned that to beat Gonzaga, they're going to have to basically try to win a track meet because he said in a half court, Arkansas's offense isn't good enough in a half court to beat Gonzaga. So he said if they can't get them running and he said they're going to have a great day shooting the three ball. They're going to need to hit about 12 to 14 and hope Gonzaga go about 6 for 20 because he said the mismatches that Gonzaga present for Arkansas are going to be exposed. And like y'all was just saying, Memphis also played very physical with Gonzaga in the first half. Then the referee started putting the whistle in their mouth in the second half. So it all depends on how the refs. Gonzaga is a finesse, great team. If the refs let people get physical with them like Baylor did last year in the championship and like Memphis did in the first half, actually in the first round, that team that was the 16 seed got physical with them in the first half and then they ran away from them when the refs started blowing the whistle. So it all depends because Gonzaga's a finesse team. So, But like Tony said, if Gonzaga can play their way and the refs aren't going to call it, are not going to let Arkansas be physical, they don't have a chance. They don't have a chance in that game. They don't.
We'll leave it with you. Michigan Villanova in that second game, the 7:30 tip. What do you think about that one? That's an interesting game to me.
Yeah, that's the rematch of the 2018 national championship that Villanova won going away after they blew out my Jayhawks in the Final Four. So
they sure did. I was surprised about that one.
Yeah, they ran away. They were just too talented, man. So what it is they're not the deepest team. They're not the most athletic team. They're not the most talented team. They're just so skilled and fundamentally sound, and they tough. And Jay Wright's the best coach in college basketball. It's not Coach K. He's the best coach in college basketball. He takes 3-star guys and makes championship rosters. He's got a couple 4 or 5 stars, but he doesn't have the cream of the crop. You know, his best player is probably a 3. I think Gillespie was a 3-star, and then Justin Moore, that backcourt was a 4-star from DeMatha. So
that's
the rest of them
that's
guys,
it.
you don't even know who them guys are. Brandon Slater, Jermaine Daniels.
Yeah.
These guys are guys that nobody talk about. So
they're just guys. Well,
just
to everyone else, they're just guys. But he's able to turn just guys into valuable parts of a team.
What he does better than anyone is he gets the stretch 4 and 5 guys that make shots from the perimeter when they have to have them. That is the backbreaker for most teams. When you watch them every time in the tournament, they got 2 or 3 guys that look like they shouldn't be out there taking them, and they make them because he allows them to take them all season. So, and the confidence is there. I don't see how Michigan can beat them. It's going to take Hunter Dickinson is going to get his points. Brooks will have a good game, but they don't have enough bullets in the holster to beat Villanova to me. I think Villanova is a Final Four team. I think they're going to get to the Final Four. I just see it.
Jody, what do you think? That's an 11-2 matchup. Michigan comes in as the 11 seed with nothing to lose. They're playing with house money.
That's true. Remember when we started this a couple weeks ago and we was talking about the tournament, and I told you it was going to be a team that was double digits make the Final Four. Michigan may be that team. I got Michigan upsetting Villanova. I think that Juwan Howard is on the mission. I believe he has a lot to prove to everybody that he can coach this game. The incident he had against Wisconsin is behind him. I like Michigan in this one. It's going to be a close one, but I like Michigan pulling this out.
Tony?
That's all I need to say.
Tony says Michigan. You
Go
know what?
blue.
I'm going to go against my better judgment here. I think Michigan has the upset. I think, like Devin alluded to, I think they go inside early and often and then play off of Hunter Dickinson, another DeMatha guy. Tony, you mentioned that Mike Jones, assistant coach at Virginia Tech, he is the former DeMatha head coach of varsity basketball. And we talked about how many guys that he has in college playing basketball. Here's 2 of them. He's got a kid at Villanova, and he's got one here at Michigan, who I think if they play inside out, I'm going to go with Michigan in that game.
So he's going to be having a kid play to go to the Final Four, technically.
That's to the Elite Eight.
One of those teams, yep.
Yeah, one of those teams.
No, I'm saying one of those 2 teams are going to win, so a guy's going to be playing to go to the Final Four. He may get a couple of them there.
Yeah. All right, Texas Tech against Duke. That's the 9:39 game. That's going to be played out in San Francisco. That'll come up after the Arkansas-Gonzaga game. Texas Tech comes in as the 3 seed. Duke is the 2 seed. How is Texas Tech a 3 seed? And let's talk to our Big 12 expert, Devin Mason. What do you think of these guys?
Tough, relentless, best defensive team in the nation. Struggles to score at times, but they can defend, man. And they got multiple guys that can play multiple positions. They got like 5 dudes, like 6'6", that can all play inside and out. And then they got a couple big guys that aren't really what I consider great players, but they do their job. Their best player is Bryson Williams, a transfer from, I believe he came from, what school was he in? He was in the WAC. Came over last year. And UTEP. He was at UTEP. And he transferred in this year from Texas to Texas Tech. 6'8" guy, all-time lead scorer in Bakersfield, California area. So a really good player. As much as I don't like Duke, I think Texas Tech struggles to score. Duke they're not gonna hold Duke to 50 points. And like I told Tony was talking, we don't like Duke. But I will say this, in this tournament, you gotta have a guy. Duke has a guy. He's 6'10", 250. And when that guy decides he wants to play like he should be playing, that makes Duke a very tough out. because if Banchero is doing what he did against Michigan State and not settling on the perimeter and creating offense with his physicality and his athleticism and defending like he did when the game was on the line, blocking shots, getting rebounds, Duke can get to the Duke can beat anybody because they have talent. The issue is what Banchero are we going to get and what Jeremy Roach at point guard are we going to get, the Paul the Sixth guy, the guy that can play great Sunday. If that guy's playing like he did Sunday, it's like a Tyus Jones effect from 2015 when he came on. It was the Quinn Cook talk, but then here come Tyus Jones and Grayson Allen that really pulled them out in the Final Four against Kentucky against what was that when they beat who did
they beat Wisconsin for the championship,
and they beat Michigan State in the Final Four. And they did. Because Wisconsin upset Kentucky. So it's going to come down to Roach and Banchero and how they deal with the physicality of that Texas Tech defense. But I'm not picking against Duke. I think Sunday was a growing-up moment when they were down 5 with 5 to go. They could have folded, and they really turned it on when they had to. So I'm not picking against them yet. Maybe when they play Gonzaga, but I can't pick against them this week.
Let's go to – hey, I love that. That's great stuff there. Let's go to Jody Coleman on that. Texas Tech against Duke. What do you think, my man?
Now, I seen Texas Tech play, and they've been truly battle-tested throughout the season. Of course, coming from the Big 12 that has so many elite teams in the Big 12, Baylor, Kansas, et cetera, Iowa State. But in Duke, I seen Duke get dismantled by North Carolina at home, and it was supposed to be, Coach K's final home game and all that good stuff. And they got dismantled by UNC. So, with that being said, I got Texas Tech going away in this game by 8.
Whoa. Okay. Tony?
Texas Tech.
Oh, wow. You know what? I'm going to go with Devin on this one. Too much Paolo Banchero, and honestly, if they get any type of shooting from Trevor Keels, they should win going away. They literally should play inside out. They literally should go inside and then just kick the ball out to shooters. The shots will be there.
Dave, me, you, and Tony, DMV guys. Remember, Trevor Keels didn't miss in high school. What happened to the jump shot? Did he get too strong? Because the jump shot is just, I don't know.
Here's what happens with college with shooters. If you guys recall, he was the premium shooter coming out of high school in that class, the premium shooter.
Him and Houston from Michigan were the two shooters.
Yes, they were the
top
two
shooters in the country.
Shooters.
Yeah.
When you get to college, those gaps that you had to get open shots, because the rotating defenders are bigger, it's harder to get those shots off. I always measure it like this. Against a 2-3 matchup zone in high school, for a guy like Trevor Keels, it's easy to get shots off against St. John's and DeMatha. You can do it. But when you try to get those shots up against Syracuse and you've got a 6'8" dude coming on that back line for that corner jumper, the release has to be that much quicker, right? The catch has to be that much cleaner. The pivot, get into your shot, your shot window and get it out. He might just be rushing. That's all.
He did knock a big one in with them down the other night.
Yes, he
big
did.
One to put him up. Him and Roach hit threes that they haven't been making all year.
I would say this. Let me see. JJ Redick's worst season shooting the basketball, as I remember, was probably his freshman year. Eventually you just adjust to that college game. It's like putting a sophomore in high school on varsity. Right. It doesn't matter how good he is. You put him on varsity against older, bigger kids, he's going to struggle a little bit, but eventually he or she will figure it out. So I'll go with Duke on this one. Let's move over to the big game. This is the nightcap in San Antonio. Houston gets Arizona. That's a 5 seed against a 1. Again, that's the big University of Houston Cougars getting to play in their home state. They're going to be playing in San Antonio at the AT&T Center, which I expect to be a raucous crowd because they're going to be revved up from that Michigan-Villanova game. And you're going to have all those people from Houston rolling into San Antonio with a shot to carry Kelvin Sampson to yet another Elite Eight.
Down I-35, huh?
I'm going to down I-35. You know what? I'm going to go against convention here. I will take the Arizona Wildcats to eke out a victory here. I love the story. And listen, Kelvin Sampson is one of the best coaches in college basketball. He just is. The man can flat out coach. But I think this is Arizona's year. I'm going to take Arizona in this one. Tony, who you got?
I got Houston because they're home.
You like that? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Jody?
I saw them play. They're home.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Jody, what do you think?
Listen, Houston it's gonna be a lot of points scored in this game, but I'm gonna go with the Lee Corso and I'm going Arizona again. I don't care if they're at home. Arizona just got too many dogs, too many top recruits on that team that's playing good basketball. Houston's train stopped right now, so I'm going Arizona.
I think I know what Devin's going to say, but go ahead and say it. Come on, give it to me, man. Come on.
As Tony stated a while ago, every champion has had their scare. TCU gave Arizona their scare. They figured some things out. And the kid that is going to make the difference for Arizona, he looked like he's healthy, their three-point shooter, Kerr Kriisa. He's the guy that has to make shots against the way Houston plays defense. If he breaks their zone and then match up 2-3 that they want to get in when they come down, it's going to be a long night for Houston because there's no answer for them with Benedict Mathurin. And the big guy, Koloko, and then Tully something, whatever, them guys inside can play. Houston didn't, as good as Kofi Coburn is, he has no real moves. Everything is power and physicality. These guys have touch. They have finesse. They can score with the jump hook. They can do a lot more than Kofi Coburn can against those bigs that Houston got now. Kelvin Sampson going to put a great game plan together. But this is going to be, to me, a lot like the Houston-Baylor Final Four. I think Houston's going to get in this game and be there early and probably get beat by about 10 or 12 because I think Arizona – Benedict Mathurin, I don't know if y'all have seen this dude or not, but this dude different.
I think he is a quality college player.
And that other kid, that other 6'8" kid, Terry, can flat out do it. And
for my money, give me Mathurin, and give me the kid in the next game we're going to talk about for Purdue. But y'all already know what his name is. I like these picks. Let's go to Friday's matchups. Okay, these games are going to be played in Philadelphia and Chicago. So these will be East and Midwest region games. Cinderella has arrived. St. Peter's 15th seed will be taking on the Purdue Boilermakers. The 3-seeded Boilermakers come in, and they bring in Jaden Ivey, who, if anybody that's listening to the show has not seen this guy play, see Benedict Mathurin at Arizona, but definitely go see Jaden Ivey play. You will like what you see. I like this game in a lot of ways because I love to root for the underdog, but St. Peter's will be playing 88 miles from campus. Okay, they're from New Jersey, so they're going to be playing in the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. I expect an early arriving, raucous, pro St. Peter's crowd. If Purdue can win this game, they should win this tournament because they shouldn't be afraid of anybody. Okay, I'm going to take Purdue. Tony, what do you think?
I'm going to stick with Cinderella, and I think that Cinderella is going to beat. I think the Cinderella is going to beat Purdue, which is John Wooden School, and then I think I think they will beat UCLA, which is John Wooden School.
Okay. Okay, Tony. Tony always brings out the historical. I love that. Jody Coleman, I know you like Purdue. I know you like him. You're a Midwest guy. Come on.
Listen. Cinderella is about to hit midnight for Cinderella, man. Listen, it's about to be midnight. The slipper don't fit. Ivy gonna go off on those kids. He about to prove he gonna prove he a top 5 draft pick in the NBA draft, and it's gonna be against St. Peter's. Sorry. I like Ivy, too athletic, and the Big Ten has to get some representatives in the Elite 8, and Purdue is going to be that team. So guess what? I like, St. Peter's, great story, great piece on ESPN. But guess what? It won't be no more stories. Purdue got them.
Devin, talk to me. What do you think? You like Purdue in this, or do you like St. Peter's?
I like Purdue because of Jaden Ivey. I was, wrote an article on him and his mom recently.
I saw that.
I was talking about his mom, and she brought up a real good point. She said, my son, discount what I did on the basketball court. My son has been blessed to be around the likes of Skylar Diggins, Arike Agumbawale, Jewel Lloyd, Jackie Young, the Mabry sisters, and Kayla McBride, and his growing up around Notre Dame basketball. All the guards that the great Neil Ivey recruited to Notre Dame for Muffet McGraw.
Mm-hmm.
He said that's where his toughness comes from. Yeah, I'm tough. But watching those girls every day, they were like aunts to him, and he got to see them, and he learned a lot. And when you watch him play, he's got a little bit of all of them in his game. He's got that dog in him like Enrique. He don't think nobody can guard him. He's got that smoothness to his game like a Jewel Lloyd that can just get buckets. He's got the ball handling of a Skylar Diggins. And when he really gets going, he can shoot the ball like Caleb McBride and the Mabry sisters.
All right.
And I think as great as St. Peter's has been, like Jody said, the slipper will, midnight will strike. And it's not a bad thing because like Coach K said, that school has he brought up a good point about Butler, back-to-back titles and championship runs in 2010, 11, how many millions of dollars that school made because of that. So you'll get all the rep and all the money. And by this time next week, Shaheen Holloway will be the Seton Hall coach. That's the way it's going to happen.
Oh yeah, okay.
We're gonna stick with Devin on this one as we move to the next game. 8-seeded North Carolina Tar Heels are going to be playing against the 4-seeded UCLA Bruins. That's going to be at the Wells Fargo Center. That might as well be a home game for North Carolina. A lot of fans up on the Eastern Seaboard wearing that Carolina blue. Devin, this is what you call the blue blood part of the bracket. What do you think about that game?
That's a tough one, but I'm going to take UNC, and I'm going to take UNC because of this. The matchup in that game, it ain't going to be Juzang and Love, and it's not going to be R.J. Davis and Tyler Campbell. It's going to be Jaime Jaquez against Brady Manick. And the difference is Jaquez has been little banged up ankles and stuff. When you're banged up and your ankles don't feel good and Baycott is setting those picks and he's letting Brady Manick pop out and get those open jump shots. And Brady Manick is a knockdown shooter. I don't know if y'all remember, he got overlooked in his class because he went to the same team as Trae Young in Oklahoma. Nobody talked about him, but he was good from day one. 6'10" jump shooter and was the best shooter in that class when he was the best shooter in his class coming out. So it's not a fluke that he had 26 points before he got thrown last week against a good Baylor team with the likes of a Jeremy Sohan, who's going to be a top 15 pick at 6'10", with the likes of other big guys that can defend the pick and pop. He went off on them guys. UCLA ain't got them kind of bodies. I just think UNC with Baycott is on a mission, man. Watching that dude since he was 10 years old. Carolina going to win that game.
Jody, these two programs are two of the cradles of college basketball, UCLA and North Carolina. Lots of history wrapped up in between these schools, not just in basketball, but in sports in general, particularly UCLA. UCLA being the home of Arthur Ashe. Jackie Robinson played his college ball there in the old Pac-8. If you could, guys, we're all a little too young to remember the Pac-8. What do you think about this as far as UCLA? UCLA comes in as a 4 seed, and they didn't have a bad season. But last year they had a shot. I really thought they had a shot at making the national title and winning it. Didn't get there, but everybody came back. This is a big game for them in terms of we've got the whole band back together, and they're on a mission. Can they get this done?
You know what? Both of the schools produce some of the GOATs of NBA. We got Lou Alcindor, better known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and we got Michael Jeffrey Jordan out of UNC, among, James Worthy, the Vince Carter, the list goes on.
Yes.
But I believe none of those guys are going to walk through the door. None of those guys are going to walk through the door. Jang is going to have to show the reason why he came back this year and didn't enter the draft last year.
Right.
And I have UCLA, even though this is going to be practically a home game for UNC, Hubert Davis is still shell-shocked from this last game. Like Tony said, should he even be the head coach anymore? I think Hubert Davis needs a little bit more seasoning, and I don't think he's going to be able to pull it out against this UCLA team. And UCLA got him. I got UCLA winning this one.
Well, we know what Tony's going to say.
Already got UCLA.
What?
You're going to get? Wait a minute.
He been saying that for the last week, y'all.
Where's your jacket? Yeah, right. Where's your North Carolina jacket?
He gave it back to George Lynch. He gave it back to George Lynch.
No, he gave. Hey, Jody. He gave it back to Henrik Roden. You know what I'm saying?
You leave my German alone. I love my German.
He gave that starter jacket back to Ranzino Smith.
He was all straight.
Jeff Lebo. You know what? I'm going to take UCLA in this one, so mark me down for that. Now, the reason I didn't pick this game first was because I wanted to end the show with these two games because they involve Big 12 teams. We do have a Big 12 expert in the building. Devin, I didn't forget the Kansas Jayhawks, another cradle of college basketball, another cradle of history in the sport.
Yeah, man.
A famous golfer's father went to Kansas and played baseball there.
Yes,
Earl Woods.
Yes,
one of the first black baseball players in the Big Eight, in the old Big Eight. But Kansas is the 1 seed. They're going to be playing at the United Center in Chicago. On our last show, we alluded to the fact they play in the Champions Classic. So those Kansas kids have been in that building before. This is not really a road trip for them. It's a building they're familiar with. I think Providence and Ed Cooley are going to have their hands full. I'll take Kansas in this one. We're going to leave. Devin, you're going to be batting cleanup on this one. Tony, what do you think about this Providence-Kansas game?
I got Kansas. Even though Providence has been whatever, I got Kansas. I got too much history, too many good players. They can play any style.
Championship coach.
Yeah. Kansas is the Honda Accord of college basketball.
Yeah, they're reliable.
They're Toyota Camry.
Yep.
You know what you're gonna get from. Don't go racing that joint down the street. but if you want to put $40 in and last you from payday to payday,
Tony crazy, man. Tony crazy. Man, Tony got the best analogy, man. I'm telling you.
So, Jody, do you want a Honda Accord or do you want the used Yugo? I mean, what's it gonna be?
You know, absolutely, I'm gonna go to Honda Accord, but I seen Providence get dismantled against Creighton, and it wasn't. I don't know what Providence team is gonna show up, and they don't have enough for Kansas. Kansas is gonna bring the noise, and Kansas is destined for a Final Four, man, and Bill Self got to get it done, man. I think if not, they need to look to maybe upgrading at the coach because Bill Self been there for years, and just can't get it done.
No.
Man.
Hey, listen, for Providence, Jimmy Walker's not walking through that door, and I don't mean Jimmy Walker, the comedian. I'm talking about Jimmy Walker, Jalen Rose's daddy, who could really, really play basketball.
And Billy Donovan ain't walking through that door.
He ain't walking through that door either. Nope. Devin, talk to us about Kansas. Tell me why Kansas cannot lose this game. What's at stake?
What's at stake is, as Jody said, Bill Self don't have to worry about that. He's been there. He won 15 or 16 at Big 12 titles in the last 18 years. So, you know, he's never lost on Big Monday in Allen Fieldhouse. I mean, he got so many records. I mean, championships are hard to come by because if that's the case, John Calipari should have about 8 of them. Based on
we know that
he's gotten.
He's a better coach. He's a better coach in the Big 8 or in his league than even Roy Williams was.
Yep.
And Roy Williams was one of the best. When Roy Williams was at Kansas, he was one of the best young coaches in college basketball.
Yep.
And it was not even a question. And
peanut butter and jelly.
Well, the reason why I said something about Bill Self is because, like I said, if you go out in this round, he'll be Sweet 16 is okay. But I mean, Kansas has to get at least to the Final Four. Bill Self he's doing it regular season, but teams are starting to catch up with them in the Big 12. Like remember Kansas every year was a shoe-in to win that conference. Now it's Baylor stepping up. They don't want a championship. You know, now Iowa State. You got other teams that's stepping up, and Bill Self just has to take them to that next level on a consistent basis more than just regular season. That's why I said that. I'm not taking nothing away from
we was in the final. I mean, we was in the Final Four in 2018. We was in Elite. And we was in the Elite 8 in 2017. So, I mean, we've been close. You know, we had – and to be honest, a lot of it is because of the Adidas situation. The situation with the whole thing that got everybody in trouble in Arizona. So, the recruiting is slowed down. It's picking back up. And he has made some really – like Ochai Agbaji and guys like that. Nobody knew who that guy was or Christian Braun was. So, that go to show you he develops players. Nobody knew.
So, they're a hybrid. They're a hybrid Camry then.
Yeah, they're hybrid Camry.
Hey,
I'm gonna say this about Providence, man. I'm a little worried about them because Ed Cooley made a comment in December, and he said if my guys come and make it a street fight, we ain't lost this year. They have not lost. The only 2 losses they had during a street fight was the Villanova, and those aren't bad losses. They lost by 1 and lost by 5. The other times they've lost, they just didn't bring their effort. But as you stated, Kansas shouldn't lose this game. They have more talent. They have the better coach. They have the better players. But in the tournament, Kansas has had the history of letting a team like Creighton last week hit 14 threes. They hung around because they made threes. If Providence can shoot the 3, they got shooters. 3 guys shoot 40% or better on their roster. If they catch fire, it's going to be tough. Still think Kansas will win the game, but it ain't going to be easy, man. And like I said, Kansas, the bracket really opened up when Auburn got beat. And Iowa got beat early. It opened up for them, but that's a trap because now you're looking ahead in human nature. You're like, oh, we'll take care of Providence or Miami or Iowa State. We'll beat them. We already know what Iowa State. That's dangerous. And
now,
we'll see. We'll see.
You know, you make a great point, but a lot has to be said about playing in an arena, a gym that you've played in before. And Kansas has played in this arena before, multiple years, multiple classes on top of each other where, oh my God, our sophomores and juniors have never played in this building. Kansas doesn't have to worry about that. Ed Cooley's guys, he literally needs to go out there and take the tape measure and get on a ladder and take it up to 10 feet and show his guys, this is the same as where the rim is the same, distance from the floor that we play on to kind of take the mystery out of it. Again, I'm going to take Kansas. Now, the winner of this Kansas-Providence game.
Can I say one thing, Dave?
Sure, go for it.
The key will be Abaji can't be our best player to beat them. It needs to be Remy Martin and Jalen Wilson. If those 2 guys are the 2 best players for us,
let them lead the way.
Because they're the guys that can do more. As good as Abaji is, he's kind of not aggressive enough for me. If the shots aren't there, he's passive. But then you get Remy Martin, who's going to take every shot he gets.
Right.
And you get Jalen Wilson with the 6'8", 6'9" frame that can do more, can create, can also rebound. He's our best rebounder, and he's a good defender. So those got to be the 2 best players for us. We're going to get the knockdown shots from Abaji, but it's going to depend on what we get from Wilson and Remy Martin. That's going to determine how far we go.
So the winner of this Providence-Kansas game, winner of the Kansas-Providence game gets what I call the Bettor's Bracket game, an 11 seed and a 10 seed in a Sweet 16. Combined number of the seeds is 21. That's the biggest underdog bracket on the board.
Wow.
I love the Iowa State Cyclones. I love them. I'm going to take Iowa State in this one over Miami. That's going to be at the United Center in Chicago. So Iowa State should travel well for this one. Let me get out.
Says Hurricanes.
What's that?
Hurricanes. The kitty cat said Hurricanes.
The cat said Hurricanes. Okay. Devin, what do you think in this one? You taking Iowa State?
Iowa State went 2-22 last year, so that's a hell of a turnaround in 1 year.
Yeah. Shot it at Elite 8.
It's funny because if you look at the Miami team, their point guard was at Kansas, Charlie Moore.
Yep.
They got Wong. They got some guys. And Iowa State got the Brockington kid, and they got the Foucher. I forgot how you say his last name. The kid that shoots the threes. I'm a Big 12 guy, but for something about this Jim Larranaga guy in the tournament, man, I can't pick against this guy, man. This guy took and dismantled that Auburn team last week. He dismantled them.
Oh, they beat the brakes off of them.
They beat the brakes off of them.
And that Auburn team is better than Iowa State.
That was terrible.
It's good, man. Miami can get to the Final Four, man. They have a 3-guard lineup where they spread you out and they play. And Charlie Moore is like Chris Paul for them. He does everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
He really does a good job controlling tempo.
Yes,
he does a great job controlling tempo, getting guys in the right spots. And this is something that's a recurring theme on the show, where you've got somebody that's been around a few years that understands this is the shot we need in this situation, or this is where the ball has to get to. Okay, you're not going to get the ball to where it needs to go. Give it back to me. I'm going to get it over. I'm going to get it to my guy where he can score. That's an understanding of the game. And I think, like you said, I think he understands that. Jody, what do you think about this game? Iowa State against Miami, 11 seed versus a 10 seed to go to the Elite 8. It's the dream shot for an 11 or a 10 seed.
Well, you know what? I want to give a shout out to their football team, Iowa State, because I had a kid from Dayton, Ohio, JoJo Skates, played wide receiver, just transferred to Memphis. I coached against him. I went to school with his mom. I just want to give him a shout out. You know what I'm saying? He should be a pro. He should be an NFL pro. But even with that being said, I started my master's at the University of Miami, and I'm gonna go with Miami. I'm gonna go Miami in this game. I'm gonna go Miami in this game.
They could all say say hi to Tyreek Hill down there in Miami, I guess, since he's gonna be changing his address. So do we get everybody's picks in there so we know who everybody got?
Right here.
Yep.
The U.
All right.
I got the U.
Hey guys, we managed to do that in an hour and 10 minutes. We went over a little bit. DK Williams, always on the show on the text line.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it, DK.
You know, I appreciate you guys. I want to give a shout out to Devin. Devin, I read your articles, the article that you wrote on Black coaches in the Sweet 16. Everybody on here, go to Devin's Facebook, Devin POV Sports Mason on Facebook. Look up the Shadow League. He's got new material out. You've got to read this article that he wrote. Whether you're a fan of college basketball or not, just check it out and see what you think. And then you did the thing on Jackson State. You did the story on Jackson State. Definitely, if you're into college football, especially the HBCU experience, take a look at what he's talking about the Heritage Classic and the money moves that needed to be made there that Jackson State is making and helping transform HBCU football and in turn HBCU sports. We really appreciate you, Devin, for that because you give a perspective that we really don't get to see. And what I think is interesting, and I would call on our people that are at the local publications here in the DC area where we are, we've got Howard University sitting right here. And I don't see this being banged out in the Washington Post. Why?
It's a waste.
It's a waste. We've had the Washington Post sitting here in this town, Howard University, a great HBCU, great academics. Yes. Do they have money problems? Sure. But these kids that play college sports got to go somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Self-inflicted wounds. Dave.
These are as Tony. Don't let
it's funny you mentioned that because I got an article coming out on Friday talking about them playing a heavy outside of their MEAC schedule. They're going to play 3 teams from the Ivy League this year in football.
Okay. Howard?
And Larry Scott said, they offered us money, so we had to take advantage of it. So, Larry Scott's the guy. Me too. And Larry Scott, I respect him because he was offered 3 times the money to leave and come to coach with Nick Saban when he took this job. Saban asked him to come and be the D-line coach, and he told Saban, I have a work here. I can't do it as much as I want to do it. Like Dion has been telling other schools, leave me alone. Let me do what I got to do with my HBCUs because he could have left. Saban wanted him in a heartbeat. Like, I need you. And he was like, I love you, Nick. But
Howard needs to go to the CAA and leave that thing and make their home field needs to be Audi field.
I wrote that too.
Homecoming there. Man, this is not that hard. They act like we're in Boise, Idaho. We're in the #1 area for African Americans up until 2010. I give it to Atlanta. But this area, all our life, has been #1 for African Americans. And we can't do nothing with the black school.
Ain't it crazy?
It's the only school that white folks know when you say HBCU. Oh, you mean like Howard?
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy, man.
It's
crazy. Capitalizing on a brand. Howard is awful.
My stepfather went to Howard. It's a lot of guys I went to high school with went to either Howard Med School or Howard Dentistry School. I don't understand it. My Bison friends, my Bison family, that listen to the show, talk to somebody over there because I don't think that Howard is getting what they need out of their administration. I think it's an administration problem from the president's office to the AD's office and then down through the teams. It's not against the teams. The kids that come here to play, respect it. The coaches that come here to coach, respect it. When you've got a guy like Gus Johnson that is almost brought to tears because he can call one college game in basketball and call it in his home gymnasium where his career started. It shows the love that he has for the school and the gratitude that he has for what the school gave him to give him the career that he has. Gus Johnson is one of the biggest names in broadcasting. We all know his name for March Madness.
Can I ask you something? How many of us know what a daggone a greyhound is? Don't they run those on the track?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like having a greyhound dog but I live downtown Manhattan in a condo. It doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Well, you know, they're trying to repair a lot of
But I need room.
The administration has been bad. And
Yeah.
what didn't help was the end of the season melee against the Virginia College of Lynchburg.
Yeah.
They had the big fight, and they couldn't get it under control. They had to bring in almost like police from all over the city to get it under control. It was that bad on the field. So that doesn't help Howard at all when you get your last game of the season stopped in the third quarter because of a complete melee. Fans on the field, people hitting each other with helmets and stuff. Just you can't have that, man. And so Larry Scott, he made a point. He said he reprimanded all his guys. He said we should have been the bigger guy and walked away. He said we cannot have that mess. Same thing Deion did at Southern when he first came back from the hospitalization and they got into the fight after they clinched the east of the SWAT. They got into a fight and Deion went off on his guys. And he said, how do you expect us to get respect when we're doing this? They already look at us funny. And then we're just doing what they want us to do. You know, so that's why, I mean, I'm big on covering them guys. I'm big on talking about HBCUs because no one talks about it.
Yes, sir.
Definitely check out his content, everybody.
Also, the teams that didn't come to Jackson State.
You know what?
That didn't come to Jackson State.
Let's go 5 more minutes. Can we go 5 more minutes on that? Let's go 5 more minutes on that. Go ahead. Set it up for our listeners, Tony. What happened?
Well, what happened was there was a video that came out, and Deion talked about 24 teams who came. 22 teams who came to see his team at Pro Day. So if people don't know Pro Day, that's when everybody come and see all your talent. And mainly, if they ain't drafting you, they're going to come and see for the undrafted free agents also. So everybody needs that. So he had 22 teams. He called the 10 teams out that didn't come by. And the 10 teams out that didn't come by, shame on you, because all you had to do is send one person.
Yeah,
and that's not that hard, folks.
No,
especially in this draft. So,
Jody,
it is with it.
Why couldn't these NFL teams? And he called them out by name. We're not going to do it, but one of the teams was Baltimore. Why can't you send one of your junior guys to see it? You know, one of your younger guys. You know, one of your younger scouts. What do you think?
You know what? If you look at the course of the NFL, out of HBCUs, we had some dynamite players: Walter Payton, Jerry Rice, you know, Eric
Willie
Williams,
Lanier, go down later,
Aeneas Williams,
Charlie Joyner. I mean,
and the list goes on, and it's like the lack of respect from NFL teams, knowing that that's where you're gonna find a gym at. That right there is kind of like a smack in the face. And you know it's Deion Sanders. You know it's prime time. You know prime time is not going to have it where those guys ain't ready to play at the next level, because that's what he preaches. He wants those guys to be millionaires. He wants those guys to get an opportunity to play at the next level. You know they're going to be well disciplined. He wouldn't have his own sons going to Jackson State if it wasn't a program that he feel like they can go to the next level. Deion Sanders, he's very, very intelligent. People don't give it that because he come off a little brash, a little arrogant, but Deion Sanders is a very intelligent man. So what he's doing with Jackson State, and for you not to have at least one representative, you can get an upstart guy in your program. You can get an upstart, one of the lower tier guys, like Eric Spoelstra started out in the video room. Send one of them guys over. That's
right. That's you know, I would love to have a job where I'm the youngest scout there. You know, you're about 27. You know, you're kind of young in the game, and he says, "Listen, you're going to cover the HBCU circuit, so you're going to go to Jackson State and FAMU, okay? No, you're not going to go to Michigan. You're not going to go to USC or the big name schools. So what? You're there to scout talent. You scout the talent. You fill out your reports the way that your team looks at talent, and you file your report. That's how you cut your teeth. Am I wrong, Dev?
No, that's right. And when you guys, I talked to a guy from CNN SI, Sports Illustrated. His name is Cal T. Mosley, and he handles the HBCU write-ups for the Sports Illustrated. So me and him talk a lot about different stuff. And he made a good point to me, and I have to agree with him. He said, I told him in the past, I understand Deion wanting all 32, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. In the past, only 5 to 7 NFL teams sent representatives. You got 22 in the first try. I think that's a real step in the right direction. So I get the other 10 not sending people, but to go from 7 to 22 or 5 to 22 is a hell of a jump. So Deion is Deion, and we know he's going to say what he say. But to have 22 representatives from the NFL come to Jackson State to see Jackson State, Mississippi Valley State, Alcorn State, Mississippi College, and there's one other school, school, black school in Mississippi that came. Deion made the comment, I better not see the other 10 at Mississippi or at Mississippi State for their program, which you will see them there. He will see them there. But at the end of the day, Deion, the thing that Deion got to realize too is his pass rusher got seen yesterday. That kid, James Houston, had 19.5 sacks during the season. The NFL is always looking for pass rushers with 60% passing, 40% running. That kid ran a 4.6, bench press 225 21 times, and he had a 10.6 short shuttle. That kid gonna get drafted just because of them 22, just because of yesterday. So that's the kind of stuff you gotta. That's the win you got. Yes, that's the win you gotta look at. You gotta look at that. That's a win. That's a win.
But Dad, can I say something real quick? I got a good friend that's the offensive line coach named Nashawn Goddard for South Carolina State, who actually
I know
that's my guy. He's from Dayton, Ohio. That's my guy.
Yeah.
He come over my mama's house and everything. So he's down there as an offensive line coach. He was in the NFL. He went down there and they beat Jackson State. They beat them
in Celebration Bowl.
Yeah. So they beat them. And just imagine if you was that guy that was sent to South Carolina State and you found Leonard, you found Darius Leonard. Let's think about what kudos whoever that guy from Indianapolis. We found Darius Leonard potentially is one of the best, if not the best, weak side linebackers in the NFL.
And before he got hurt, think about Tariq Cohen. Whoever found him,
right?
Tariq Cohen from North Carolina A&T. These guys can play, man. Look at the left tackle that the Dolphins just got, Terran Armstead. These guys are all pro, Hall of Fame kind of guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, everybody in the building in Chicago knew who got them. We might not know outside of that building, but somebody saw and said, "Wow, that kid really
she mad."
I really wish him a lot of luck with his rehab and getting himself back to where he was. That was a tough injury that he had. It's just rugged. So listen, guys,
we almost done.
This is one of our best shows because we talk NFL. We definitely talk a little HBCU, and definitely got our picks in for the Sweet 16. Hopefully, y'all will catch in some tickets, some winning tickets on these Sweet 16 games. Let me make my disclaimer. This is for entertainment purposes only.
Entertainment purposes only, folks.
Entertainment purposes only. Hey, listen, I wanted to also give a personal shout out, man. I got to give my son a little dap. He got his PSAT scores back, 96 percentile, baby.
Woo! Congrats. That's dope.
Hopefully we can start talking to some colleges, man. Get them A's, buddy. So, anybody got kids on here, we all understand they got to hit the books first before they can play that ball. Whatever sport it is. I don't care if it's ice hockey or tiddlywinks. They ain't recruiting you unless you got a B+ average or up. Everybody else got to wait in line. So, we're going to be back on Sunday, right?
Sunday?
Yeah, we'll be back on Sunday.
Hey,
and we're going to be talking, back on Sunday, we'll be talking about Final Four.
Sundays, Dave.
Huh?
Sundays. We do Monday. Monday.
Night. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah, Sunday's the game.
Monday
and Thursdays now. We only had the Wednesday because the tournament comes on. We didn't want to interrupt you today.
Gotcha. Appreciate it, everybody.
Hold on, Dev. Can I to Dev? Hey, man, listen, man. I just became Facebook friends. I appreciate your page, man. I like to give flowers now. I don't like to give flowers like, I like to tell them in their face, man, you got some good stuff, man. And if you're not friends with them, I just became, and I've been reading it, and I'm going to be at work all night reading your stuff tonight, man. So I
appreciate you, man.
Listen, his page is very active. It's very active.
Do me a favor. Also, when y'all when the baseball season starts, go to MLB Bro. I have a piece every Tuesday for Rob Parker's site and his thing. We cover all black and brown baseball players. That's all we talk about.
My son reads that. My son reads that. Thanks to you.
We love it. It's only 7%, man. So I'm like the historian. I go back and talk about the guys that paved the way for these guys and write up, things on them. Like last year I did Doc Gooden, first game he ever pitched when he was almost got locked up outside of the Astrodome because they didn't know he was
Yeah.
that good, and then he
They
jumped the
didn't know
gate
he
and they
was
almost
that
locked
good.
him up,
Yep.
stuff like that. So I go
Yep.
back and do things like that. I did Harold Baines being from the Eastern Shore right here in Maryland, right in St. Michael's, and how great he is. And they were saying he shouldn't have been a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer, you know, things like that. And that's what I do. So touch all that. But I appreciate you, Jody, man. I don't do a whole lot of talking with people. Tony know and Dave know. If it ain't them, I don't do no whole lot of chatting. I don't debate with people. I don't go back and forth because I take this seriously and I don't do the bias stuff. You know, I present facts when I talk. So,
you talking that old school,
you know,
brothers in the MLB, like Vida Blue, Chris Chambliss.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man. Dave Stewart, you know what I'm saying? You know, Ricky
Chambliss hit
Henderson,
that 76 home run, baby.
Willie
Chambliss hit that
Stargell.
home run in, he hit that home run in 76.
But, starting when the baseball season starts, there'll be something every Tuesday that I write for the whole season. So that's my other assignment too. So and also you can catch me on Urban Spotlight as Big Drip. I do a blog
Spotlight?
too for Cardi B's manager. The guy that manages her is his site, so I work for them as well.
Perfect.
Catch me on there every day is 2. I do 2 a day for them every day.
You always on your grind, brother. That's how it works.
Yeah, man.
Hey, listen, great
Appreciate
show. We're gonna see everybody on Monday. Good luck with your picks.
Appreciate
it.
You
And we appreciate everyone that joined us tonight on the TD Report. We've got what is this? Bracket at Johns Hopkins Medical.
I told him.
It's on life support. It's on life support.
It took some ivermectin.
Oh man! Hey, Tony,
it took some ivermectin, dog.
You should have sent it to the Mayo Clinic, Tony.
We got Jody Coleman on the show. Devin POV Sports Mason. Hey guys, great show. We'll see you guys on Monday. Everybody, good luck with your games. Okay.
Appreciate it,
no doubt.
Man.
Later.
We out.
Definitely, man.
Peace.